Welcome, everybody. This is CVRV from whatever server I'm on. I can't remember right now. It's been a long day. Um, I figured I would do a fireside chat and kind of do a post-mortem on the Christmas and New Year's event. This is my third anniversary, literally today, January 4th, is my third anniversary playing Ark of War. And this is my second Christmas event. First one I thought was pretty good. And second one was even better. I mean, we got a S-class commander for a mythic engine this time around. Plenty of skins that went around, and they made it a whole lot easier to get mythic engines because one of our biggest complaints is that if you hit the sledge monsters, like this one, it says that you can get one, but we've had a couple guys in the guild get lucky in the first couple hundred, but consensus is you got to hit over 1,000, and sometimes even 2,000, and you still never get them. And I didn't really bother this time because there are so many different ways to get them. A good example was using super chests. This is the first time I've actually seen this one. Using equipment in chests, and the strong chests and the superior chests actually work really, really well. So I mean, I was pretty pleased. So I got some melange, and I've never seen us use or get an eternal barrier before that was level 0. They might have done it in the past, but I sure can't remember it. And then of course the super chests. Super chests are pretty good this time around, and of course gold use. Kind of funny. I spent probably $60, but I had plenty of gold left over from previous events, and I was able to pick up some gold elsewhere because of the guild mobilization stuff I did. So I mean that number at 266,000 is actually not legit because I also had some of my investments come through about the same time. Anyway, yeah. With the equipment chests, we got gold from those and some other stuff. I mean, it was pretty slick. We can probably expect to see something similar to this. The first week in February is when Chinese New Year's is. It's called Spring Festival, and it's a Spring Festival event, and it'll happen right around February 5th. So one of the things I'd recommend that you do is start saving stuff up. I mean, mags, whatnot. As soon as the leadership event was over with, I started, when every S and L rack that I got from the holiday store, I've kept. I haven't used it because I know that there's another event coming up. Also, anytime I see melange, even 10,000 melanges, I'll pick those up and I'll stash those away. And of course I'll grind for parts. I got plenty of sodas and things like that. I mean, this actually was pretty solid. I saved my commemorative coins. I could go and cash those in and whatnot, but I'm not going to. And I'm going to continue to collect superior chests just in case I do it again. I mean, there's not too much gear that I really need. One of the interesting pieces that came out, and I was reading on Discord that they're data mining some of the updates in code, trying to find new images to see if there's new stuff. I guess this image for the Fearless popped up back in October, and we're several updates past that. So, we see new things all the time, and it's pretty slick. They were a little bit steep on the mythic engines, but I didn't get the 180-day speed up. I have plenty of speed up, so I didn't bother with that, and I saved it back because I figured there would be a gear portion of the event coming here on the back end. Most 2-week events have the same type of rotation. Normally it starts off with the leadership event, and then it goes to troop building, and then finishes off with melange. I was kind of disappointed we didn't get an endless event, but we got one back around Thanksgiving at the end of the season. I believe it was season 6. maybe season 7 going into the playoffs. We had an endless event. We typically see one of those about once a quarter. So either the holiday festival will see it, or we will see it right around the anniversary. Um, the spring festival event will be very similar to our Christmas and New Year's event. They may or may not do the holiday store. Last year, I think they did the holiday store. Um, yeah, it's there are 3 times a year essentially we have the opportunity to speed build. Because we get a lot of different really good items. Uh, I kind of got crapped out on this one, but like resources, I've probably gone through 400,000 each in food and parts for building troops, and a lot of electric, and I wiped out my cash and my gas because I'm an air commander. So, there's that. And I also saw a question that came up in the Discord group. What is the best commanders in the game? These are the 5 that I run, and that's because I like them. But you ask any person, and you're going to get some similar answers based on play style and whatnot. It's going to be different. Like, there's some people that still stand behind Golem as being the best attacking air commander in the game. We got guys that have Golem, but they have really well developed bladers. Of course, Roger is the king of airships, and the answer to Rogers is now Reinhardt. Early game, if you get your hands on Vega, start building Vega. Early game is a lot of dodge, so he's not going to do as much damage. So you have to build him for attack. But as soon as you start to get to middle and end game, defense is actually bigger than the dodge meta. So although you will see kind of a mix of dodge and defense and HP at the higher levels, when you start getting into the playoff level teams, we all kind of fit a niche, and that's what we run with. Everyone starts off with Flare. Flare, honestly, is not one of those commanders that I really liked, even from the beginning. So I got Nekajiro and built him up, and started working with Vega. And I've had Vega. This is now my 3rd time with Vega. And I'm keeping him this time. I do have Rogers. He's not very well developed. I just picked up Takeda again. I'll probably build him up at the next leadership event and absorb him again. I did the same thing with Robin. And I like Robin. Robin is a good commander. But you have to main him for him to be effective. And that's not the direction I decided to go. So I'll keep Gilly. Gilly is better at taking out certain commanders like X and Stella based on the build that you use, and because of preemptive. And well, like I said, everyone has their own preferences. We have some people that main Lady and the Beast, and we got Lady and the Beast early in the game when we started playing, and we have folks that main Lady and the Beast. She's really good at getting the dodge meta, but if she's going to hit her one skill, just like King's skill, it's basically worthless because you're going to hit anyway. So you don't get the benefit of the skill damage and all that. What we have discovered about Reinhardt is on the server, he will take out rather effectively 10 to 15 tier 12 airships rather nicely with tier 2, with a good defense build. So, not sure that's going to be overly effective in Galaxy campaign, but we do know that on the server it's a lot cheaper to do tier 1 and tier 2 troops, and if you have a 10 per slot tier 12 march, you have a pretty good chance of taking it out. So bear that in mind. We've only really seen like 1 or 2 people that have put any effort into Reinhardt at all. And while I'm thinking about it too, rumors on the message boards that some of the Ark of War gods are retiring, so to speak. Their arcs will still be around. People will probably play them a bit, but the actual players that built the arcs are giving up the game, at least for now. This is what I can tell you. We were talking about Vera and Man God not 2 weeks ago, kind of reminiscing in the Ark of War guild chat, and that's when we found out through our folks before I even saw it on Discord that Bingo, Sky, and 66 are potentially giving up the game. That leaves Letters and a few other folks, and there are guys waiting in the wings to pick up those slots, like Shunlong and Dr. James and Anakin and King. So bear that in mind, that when one god steps down, there's normally 1 or 2 that are more than willing to take their place, at least for the short term, until they get tired of the game and they leave. Someone's going to step up eventually and take over the boss role in the game. So don't get discouraged. Most of us can't take those guys either. So we can dent or scratch the paint job on their arc, but that's about it. Early game, honestly, I would focus on ignore tier suppression commanders like Bullet, Rock, if you can get them, Blader, Maruko, Rocket. Rocket's been nerfed to the point where she is good, but she's not as good as she could be. And there are other Thorn skill commanders out there. You want to focus on your ignore tier suppression commanders. That's how you're going to do damage to these guys, especially when they start to get overly huge and they load up their Black Knights with Libra gems and they're running Diablo halls, and you're gonna want to be able to bust through that one way or the other. So, and accuracy builds are the only way to go. Some commanders it's easier than others to build accuracy builds. So you're going to want to look for those parts in the early game while you dream big for your end game commanders. So if you notice, mine happened to be ITS related. I mean, Plasma is always going to be a must, but Blader, he's my utility commander. I love him to death. So I absorbed him once, and I won't do it again. But I have him built for accuracy. He's not likely to miss, except for T12. And I'm playing with Reinhardt a bit. So we got the Fearless, and it's an interesting. It's an interesting part. Leg piece. So we'll have to. Jury's out. I've seen varying different degrees of effect, but then mine aren't. My Fearless isn't that high, so that's one of the things going against mine. And going back to give a shout out to Hitman. He asked the other day, because we were doing show and tell with our main commanders. My main commander is Golem, and he was asking how we got 100,000 plus leadership. Now, I did the slow, ineffective grind because once I get my S commanders, I like to get the parts and whatnot. Any free mags, I dump every Monday, and over the weekends during guild mobilization. Um, Otherwise, I wait and I save until I can drop like 3, 4, 5, 6,000 at a time. Uh, Even at 60%, that's still pretty decent. Um, During the ad leadership events, and I'll buy mags during events like that. And the Christmas event, I think I spent $60 this time around. It wasn't a whole lot, just to get some stuff. So, uh, yeah, my big spending was at Thanksgiving, so I could get my Tier 9 Air, and I think for this event, I think I went up like 5 or 6 million power. Power, by the way, is all about potential. It's not necessarily how powerful you really are. I've gone against, in Ace of Aces, I've gone against guys that theoretically are weaker than me, and they've kicked my butt. So, uh, don't put a ton of stock into that. Because we have 10 and 15 million power guys in our guild that actually hold their own against some of the bigger guys in galactic battle. And we get lucky on occasion, but our smaller guys tend to focus more on ignore tier suppression commanders, and I'm kind of going back that direction. I haven't decided yet exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm seriously considering it because I have a lot of gear built towards that. I have a lot of defense gear that I can use on Reinhardt, and I like the Thorn skill. I was in love with Rocket until they nerfed her, because she was one of my 4 commanders I ran all the time. So that's pretty much the nuts and bolts. Remember, the next event coming up is going to be the spring event. We're going to have our weekend events, our equipment events, but next big event is going to be the Spring Festival, and that's going to be right around February 5th. So start grinding for spice, because it's going to come real quick. Save a little bit of money, put a little bit of money into it, and there's no telling what 7 Pirates is going to come up with next. So this should be interesting. So, as always, this is CVRV from whatever server I'm on. 839 representing. Anyway, y'all have a great holiday. Hopefully you had a great Christmas and Happy New Year. And I will see you probably right around the Spring Festival.